Welcome to the Necronama.com, where we're spending all of October looking at 31 episodes of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Today, we're looking at Treehouse 11 from November 1st, 2000. I am James Sabata.
I'm Don Guillory.
And I'm Thomas Brungardt.
And here we are, yet again. So,
Day 11. I'm starting to make lines on the wall so I know how many days it's been.
Are you making full lines or like Roman numerals or like actual numbers or are you doing cocaine?
It's mostly cocaine.
Okay, just checking.
There was 31 lines, and now there's only 20 left. So,
excellent.
Well, if you have any problems, be sure to call IXII.
Oh my,
guys! Treehouse of Horror 11. It's it's a little bit better than 10. I think. I think it's more quotable than 10.
I mean, I think that Night of the Dolphin is pretty good.
I did like
not great.
But, yeah. I like the Addams Family intro.
Yes, that was pretty good.
I like that part.
What about you, Don? Do you like this one better than yesterday's? Since we all clearly kind of hated it.
I like 2 out of the 3. I like the parody of the Grimm's Fairy Tale one that they have with Hansel and Gretel, and definitely Night of the Dolphin works for me.
Oh, well, then I get to talk about my kids' favorite thing. Oh, you're watching this with people.
Oh my daughter watched and she's like, "What are the dolphins?" I said, "They're killing people." And she's like, "Oh, okay."
Wait, we're 11 days in, and now you tell me that we could have had her come on the show and give us her thoughts every time? Damn it!
These would have been her thoughts. It was good. I liked it. I liked when the baby dolphin bit Lisa.
My daughter would have just like made a face and gave us a thumbs down. So, wow. Not even about the Simpsons, just us in general. All right. So, who's taking the first one?
I guess I am. The first act was Ghost Dad. Really playing into my speech impediment. I guess this is based on a movie. We were just talking about that. Apparently, it's a real thing. I've never seen it before.
Don't bother.
At least how it plays. From what I understand, it's like Michael Keaton and Jack Frost, where he just becomes a different thing. But this one, it starts off, Homer reads his horoscope, and it says he's going to die. And then Marge reads hers and says her husband's going to die. And then it's just this different ways he could die but doesn't die. And then he ends up choking on broccoli, of course. It's a vile weed. And then he has to do one good act to get into heaven. And of course, that's hard for Homer to do. And he ends up in hell with John Wayne.
Perfect place for John Wayne to be.
I'm already awake.
I'm already up, which is I didn't understand that joke when I was a kid, but to me, it's like the funniest thing now. I laughed out loud at that part. I enjoy it because John Wayne comes up sporadically throughout the series. He was on like Laugh-In when Krusty was, and all he says is "You bet your sweet bippy." So it's just fun John Wayne humor, even though he was a terrible person from what I've been told in the last few months on Twitter. But I like Homer in this episode. I like the bits about him trying to do good deeds, and his whole rationale for not doing anything special is, "Hey, I'm not running for Jesus over here." You know, it's just, and he's failing at it constantly, which is typical Homer.
That seems like a line you probably quote a lot. "Hey, I'm not running for Jesus over here."
You know what? I don't, but I think I should start. It wasn't there like a quote earlier in this when like Homer gets bit by you were saying it, James, when Homer got bit by a snake, and
yeah,
he was just
he says that I don't know the words exactly, so I'm gonna mess this up, but he basically says that there was no truth to the horoscope, and he's like, nothing happened to me except like an axe to my head, and then the rattlesnake bit me, and then the testicle thing. And I love the testicle thing. That's hilarious because, of course, we don't see that, which then says that they couldn't show it on TV, so it must be even worse. And that joke just makes me giggle every time. I like that.
Well, Don, you didn't like this one, so why?
No, it's not one of it. Out of the ones that I like the other two more than this one, only because it doesn't seem to have that much to it. And, on a previous episode, the two of you were talking about how it seemed like they phoned things in on part 10. And I feel they kind of did it with this one because there's some cool parts that you can look at as far as the John Wayne being in hell, which is awesome because typically with a lot of these things, it's Hitler in hell, right? I mean, there are a good number of movies, TV shows, whatever, where you go to hell and Hitler's there. And one of my favorite ones is from Little Nicky, where they're shoving pineapples up Hitler's ass because they ring the bell. It's like, oh, it's 2:00. All right, Hitler, it's time for us to shove pineapples up your ass. And it's just this great thing of one, because of the people that are writing the film, people producing the film, whatever, that want to drive home this idea of how bad of a person Hitler was, and we should never feel sympathetic about him. You should always laugh at anything that's bad, that would typically be seen as bad done to somebody else. But we're doing it to him. It's funny.
Well, on The Simpsons, like Hitler is always in Venezuela.
Yeah. Einem Minuten.
Hello, mein Führer.
But I love that this one is all about that idea of, one, Homer trying to do good things, but when he tries to lift Agnes Skinner, help her cross the street to beat the Boy Scouts, and it's like, nope, this is my good deed, and he ends up killing her. And I think he makes a comment and like, I'm pretty sure she was going to be the next Hitler, to get away with dropping her. But there's some moments in it, but as far as all together, this one could have been probably its own episode.
I feel like that's what I don't like about it. It feels like a normal episode to me.
Yeah. It just feels very condensed when it could have been hell. You could claim it's anything. As far Homer's having a dream about being dead, and this is how he ends up waking up because he does a good deed or something. Or he's in surgery and he dies in surgery and he has to have these good deeds to go back. I mean, you could have done it a different way. This one was kind of,
Dying in surgery would have been great because then we would have gotten a Dr. Nick cameo.
I mean, you got Dr. Hibbert in this one.
That's not the same.
No, I like Dr. Hibbert, though, because you got to look at it this way. Dr. Hibbert is based off the character that they're basing this sketch off of, or who was the star of the movie that they're basing the sketch off of.
Whoa.
Who is currently in prison for doing what he did.
Just don't drink his Kavifi. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, unlike the one that I said that Ned Flanders, when he got run over, I don't remember the name of the episode. I know what you did, diddly, whatever that is. Unlike that one where I wanted a full episode, this one feels like a normal episode to me, and that's a very different thing. Like, there just was nothing special that made it Halloween-y to me, and I think that brought it down, because on paper, this is a fun concept. It's very Homer-ish. It's very, it fits in their world really well. And I think that kind of brings it down for me. But overall, it's okay. All right, who's got the next one?
I guess that brings us to Scary Tales Can Come True. This is a parody of Grimm's fairy tales, obviously, getting into that universe. But the general synopsis is Homer loses his job, and there's some great lines just from the beginning. But he loses his job as the village oaf, which means that he can't afford food, he can't have any hungry children in his home, or he can't. He doesn't feel as though it would be he would be a good father by allowing his children to go hungry. So he kicks them out because that's an easy solution. I don't have any hungry mouths to feed in this house because you're not here. So Lisa and Bart go on this journey to, follow through with the Grimm's fairy tales, but then also to find some other place, which they come across the gingerbread candy home of a witch. They start eating it. They get confined, and Homer is out searching for them and finally shows up to their rescue. Now, I like this episode for a lot of different reasons. Mainly because of the humor that's involved, the making fun of the fairy tales themselves, the idea that the witch is in this house by herself, and when the kids are complaining, she says, "Well, I do have a boyfriend. His name is George Cauldron," and they're sitting there thinking like, "Oh yeah, you're full of shit. You're this lonely woman in the middle of the woods." She ends up getting killed, and George Cauldron shows up on his date. And Homer makes a joke about, because they throw her into the oven, makes a joke about how long it'll take for her to be ready.
So it's funny that you brought that up.
Think about this episode.
It's funny that you brought that up because that's one of the things I hate most about this episode. And it's because I was subjected to the Brady Bunch a lot as a child.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
And there's a joke about George Glass, and they do this exact same thing.
Right.
And if there was anything else to it, like if they built on it and made fun of the Brady Bunch more or something, I would probably find it funny. And instead, I'm like, you stole a joke from the Brady Bunch? And that just really brings me down.
Well, my problem with that joke is that I heard the joke and I couldn't focus on the rest of the bit because I just kept saying to myself, "Sex cauldron? I thought they shut that place down." Because apparently that's where my brain goes when I hear the word cauldron now. So I completely missed the end of this one. But I like the two things I really liked were Mo as a troll, because Mo is always a troll.
Yeah.
And Goldilocks being eaten by the bears, because it was very grizzly man of them. I thought that part was really good.
It's also awesome because she can't get out because of the chair the Simpsons
they locked her in there. I thought that was hilarious.
Well, I use this episode as a teaching moment with my daughter, because when she saw that Goldilocks was getting attacked by the bears, she was like, "Oh no, Goldilocks!" I said, "No, honey, Goldilocks is the bad guy." She's like, "No, she's not. No, she's not." And so then then I told him, I was like, "Okay, well, tell me the story of Goldilocks." She's like, "Well, she goes in the house." "Oh, was she invited to go in their house? Was she allowed to go in their house? Whose house was it? It was the bears, right?" She's like, "Oh." And then what did she do? "Well, she ate their food while they were gone." "Okay. And she slept in their bed?" "Sorry, would you feel okay if someone just came in our house and started doing all that stuff?" "No." So now I think she's going to probably attack somebody if they come into our home unwarranted.
Well, this is like a fundamental problem of children's tales. And there's a lot of examples like Sleeping Beauty, like, oh, she's asleep or she's dead and she won't be woken up until a prince kisses her. But that's all predicated on a prince wandering through the woods kissing dead women, right? and like Snow White is just this spinster living with 7 dudes. Like it's a bad situation across the board in fairy tales.
Absolutely. So my favorite line in this episode is when Marge says, "What? You threw our precious babies into the woods? We could have sold them." and it's funny to me because that's hilarious, but in real life, selling babies is a bad idea.
It's punishable. Yeah. I liked Homer's rebuke to that. We're like, "Whoa, we could just get busy making some more," right? Like that's the typical joke. That joke has come up a lot over the years in different things, but I that was an example of them reusing a joke, and I thought it worked.
No, that one works really good, yeah. Especially because then it just cuts to him out there looking for the kids.
"Children, I'm ever so sorry." Yeah, that's I like that bit.
Which fairy tale would any of you want to be in? I mean, out of all the ones that there are, I mean, which one do you think would be ideal for you to be in, or you would feel okay being in?
I would want to be the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Because Belle is one hot French lady. And you know she's into some weird stuff because she's hooking up with a beast. And he's got all that land and like a well manicured garden, even though he doesn't have a gardener. He just has magic. I'm thinking through this free-form thought.
Wow.
I stand by it. I want to be the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. What about you guys?
Oh my God.
I want to be in The Shoemaker and the Elves.
Oh.
Like, nothing bad happens. These guys they make you nice shoes. Somebody gives them clothes. They do a little dance and they get away. And then everyone lives happily ever after. Well, no, I don't have nice shoes. There's a difference.
What about you, John?
God. I have no idea now.
I always love it. You do this a lot on the podcast, and it always cracks me up. You ask a question, we come to you last, and then you always seem surprised, and I love it.
I'm just stalled. Well, I have to stall now because I'm like, God, no, the ones I had are all just stupid now.
No, do it. Okay, hang on. If yours is stupid now that Thomas wants to be the Beast, I definitely want to hear it.
He wants to be the Hunchback from the Hunchback of No. He wants to be the frog in Princess and the Frog.
It's not slime. It's mucus. I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe
you can just admit maybe you're Rapunzel. It's fine.
Yes, I want hair. I actually did think of Rapunzel because it was like, well, knowing what you know about some of these stories, let's just say, Little Red Riding Hood, right? I would be okay with the wolf eating Little Red Riding Hood.
Sure.
I mean, as far as
eat something.
We fucking told you not to talk to anybody on the road. I mean, you told them where you were going, so your fault. But I mean, that would be one of those things. Maybe something like, I guess, maybe Jack and the Beanstalk. Let's do that one.
Do you want to be Jack or the Giant?
I'd be Jack.
Who wants to be the Giant? They steal your fucking golden egg.
It would have been funnier if you said you wanted to be the vendor who sold him the beans.
Can I be that other character that Robin Williams plays at the beginning of Aladdin?
Oh boy. I want to be Elsa from Frozen.
And on that note, so there's Night of the Dolphins. So Lisa lets a dolphin named Snorky escape from Marine World. The trainers were taunting him for the amusement of some slack-jawed yokels, and Lisa felt bad. And then this one, he goes underwater, and everybody's like, oh, the Dolphin King has returned, and they bow down to him, and he plots his revenge against everybody. And then they all say so long and thanks for all the fish. All right, maybe that's a different movie. So the thing I like about this a lot is I feel like this is the first time the writers tried in a while. Like this episode overall, I feel like a lot of this was way more effort than we've been getting in the last few. And, I mean, the humor's back in the first two for sure. There's a lot of humor in the third one as well, but I don't think it's as funny as the others. But this one definitely plays more into the movie The Day of the Dolphins, as well as the birds and that whole feeling of animals attacking us and nature taking back over. And it just feels so much more like an homage to horror here. And that's what's been missing in these last few episodes to me. And so I like this one. At the same time, this isn't one that I want to see a lot. Like it's okay. One that's good every now and then, right? My favorite part, I don't even know that there's a line to it. There probably is, but it's when the captain basically says that only he knows how to stop them, and they immediately eat him, and he's dead. I love that.
Look, I'm the sea captain.
Look at me. I'm the sea captain now.
I love that they knew his name. This is like the best bit in this whole episode. And I love how sinister the dolphins are, and I love how that's kind of across the board in Simpsons episodes, where like the one where they get lost at sea and Boy Scouts on the Hood, and they're like, oh, it's dolphins. They always lead humans back to land, and they're just laughing like, oh, you're going to die out here. It reminded me of that. And I love anything where animals are on land talking, because it reminded me of, like, Don, I'm sure you know this one, the otters who ride ostriches in South Park.
Oh, yeah.
Like that sinister idea of I eat it off my tummy. The whole idea of those animals coming onto land and taking over is so funny to me.
I don't know that I even want to know. Like, I'm kind of glad I haven't seen this.
Oh, it's great.
Anyway. It's worth a while. It's one of those. It's just like you have some Simpsons episodes where you don't need to know anything about the show. You'll get it.
Well, I think they set this one up so that you have a lot of reference points, because they parody so many movies in this one. There's Jaws when Lenny gets eaten. There's Free Willy when Lisa frees the dolphin. Right. At the end, like the birds. I love the birds parody the most, where they're just like walking through the hordes of dolphins. And I thought that they kind of. I feel like they've done this a lot in these episodes, where they have so many references to so many different movies. They kind of ruin it for future Treehouses of Horror, because they can't use that reference again, because you already did a Jaws bit in this, and it was like a throwaway thing. But I do like this one, even with all of that. Especially my favorite line in it is when Homer's listing all of the great things that humans have invented, and one of them he sneaks in is just the glory hole. What? It's such a random thing to throw in. It's such a non-Simpsons joke to that point. Like, it got more risque after that. Like, they had to like adapt to the world changing and making more edgier jokes. But just Homer tossing in the glory hole seems like something that probably shouldn't have been in this episode.
I also like when Chief Wiggum is like, bottlenose bruises, blowhole burns. This looks like the work of rowdy teenagers. Cancel the prom.
We had a King and Kodos
work.
A King and Kodos cameo when they're talking about doing like an Old Navy commercial. And we didn't talk about them in episode 10. Were they in 10?
They were in the intro. They were in the intro too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they had to sneak them in somewhere, I guess.
That's probably one of those where they forgot them and then barely added them to keep the streak alive.
But I like the bit about the Old Navy commercial, because if you guys remember what those were like 20 years ago, they were everywhere and everybody was in them.
I mean, we do, but how do you?
Oh, come on.
It's my new ongoing joke.
I am as old as The Simpsons.
You'd like us to believe that.
The fighting back, as far as when Homer gets everybody whipped up to actually take on the dolphins, it's great, because it's going to be funnier if they lose, right? You can't have this happy ending on the Simpsons on a Treehouse of Horror, where they decide to fight back and beat the dolphins and are successful. But it's so much better that they lose, and it's kind of like, we had a good run.
They wanted it more.
Yeah, they're floating around on the couches. Krusty's dead, bloated corpse like comes up to the couch. I can't remember who put, like Lisa or Bart pushes it away with a stick or something. But it's just one of those things where you look at it like that's where the humor of this one comes from. You could see it as kind of one of these commentaries about, animals' life taking back over, and in a real sense, not in a Photoshop sense, like what people were doing when COVID first hit, where they were claiming that, dolphins were swimming through the Venice canals. It's interesting.
I forgot to mention that this is another sketch where Willie gets killed. He gets like impaled by a dolphin. I think we need a Willie kill count and a Ned Flanders kill count. We can do that next year because I'm not going to rewatch these again.
He really not. Had I smashed the my God, the minor kind of it was better than this.